Alright, no more fat cleavage, because I got a different shirt on today. So, Big Ol' on Campus, Season 2, Episode 11, Blame It on the Haim. Yeah. Obviously we have, with the name like that, we have a special guest in this episode. George Clooney. No. It is Corey Haim, of course. And this is a vampire-centric episode, because of course it would be Corey Haim in the episode. So the story is, Corey Haim has come to Pleasantville to make a new movie. Sorority Vampire Massacre or whatever it's called. And then another one about a vampire bride, but I don't know if that was really a movie or if it was just a ruse. I don't know. But Merton becomes Corey's assistant, and then Laurie gets roped into being the lead in this Vampire Bride movie, but it turns out to be a ploy, at least I think it is, about it turns out that Corey is actually a real vampire, and he's going after Laurie to make her his vampire bride. So this is another one that I like a lot. I think it was a good episode. I don't think much of side characters in this. It's mostly just the three. Well, actually, we do get Tim and Travis for one scene in which they explain that Tim was a big Corey Haim fan, sent him a lot of fan mail, but never got anything back. Which, unfortunately, that does happen with stars. They don't always answer their fan mail. Like the song "Stand" from Eminem. It's a commentary on that sort of thing. Excuse me. So that's the only thing we have Tim and Travis in. But he says, "Hey, I got some Viewer's Choice Awards in my trailer. You guys can have them." Okay. So, I think Corey tricks Tommy because he's like, well, it starts out, they're walking down the street, right? The episode. We'll start off beginning episode like we should. They're walking down the street, they're bored. They're going to go to, ask if they want to go to the factory. They're like, we just did that earlier. And Moon's like, I've been wanting to show you the first 200 pages of my vampire movie I'm making, or a movie I'm making. He was making that one movie. Was it the werewolf in American Werewolf in Leningrad or something like that? Or there was another one he was working on in season 1 that he wanted Corey Haim to be the star of. But I think he ever mentions it in this. So here's how to hold it. Put it in the glass. I don't care. Anyway, but the factory's still open. But then they hear someone screaming, and they think that someone is going to be in trouble. But it turns out it's just Corey Haim making a movie. I think he's directing, starring, and writing the film. Merton, Laurie is offered a part. At first, he wants to get rid of him. But as soon as he sees Laurie, he's like, "Hey!" He's like, "Security, get these kids." And he sees Laurie and goes, "A latte," or something like that. I'm like, "Decaf lattes," and I'm like, okay. But yeah, he sees Laurie and he knows something going on there. And then he offers her a job. She's like, "No, I'm not into that whole dance under stress stuff." And so then Merton says, I'll take a job. So he becomes Corey's assistant. So, yeah. But, Laurie didn't want anything to do with this. But Corey talks to Tommy and says, "Hey, I have a role for another movie I'm making called the Curse of the Vampire Bride or something like that. And I need a lead actress. He's like, well, what kind of girl are you looking for? He's like, well, you know, and he just lists everything that is Laurie. Like, everything he lists is Laurie. Like, well, how about Laurie? Because that's exactly what he was listing off, but okay. Okay, and so they convinced Laurie to take the role, and then Tommy gets jealous. And there's one scene in this episode that always, I muted it this time when I'm watching it. I usually just sort of go in the other room or something, but like they're like filming lines at the factory, and apparently he wrote a new kissing scene, and they're doing the lines, and Tommy's sitting there with Martin, and he gets jealous, and he goes up, he goes, hey, I gotta ask Laurie an important question, and he's like, he obviously had no important question to ask her, he just tried to, I don't know, get her attention away. He becomes jealous, you know. During school, we see that Merton is carrying around a radio, you know, walkie-talkie. Hey, check it. 1, 2. I don't know what that was, but yeah, she's right here. He's peeking. Yeah. See his hat just sticking up and just in the frame there, but I just noticed it. ADHD, people. So Corey contacts Merton. Says, hey, I got this pot of turkey I need to deliver to the homeless shelter or whatever it is. Can you come get it? Why do they put it's in one of those metal pots, like this long with the thing on top. Why is there turkey in that? I can see maybe if you're boiling chicken, you boil turkey. Usually you cook turkey in an oven, on a stove. What do I know? Anyway, they go in there and they see a bunch of weird stuff. There's a coffin, yet Corey is not in it. I haven't got to the reveal that he's a vampire yet. Well, sort of. I don't know. But it's just they open a coffin. He's not in it. We find out he's somehow hanging above them in the trailer. Did he ever just swing it to a bat and hide somewhere? I'm guessing that's what it is. But you see the coffin, and Tommy's like, what's with all this weird stuff? And he's like, Tommy, Corey is a method actor. When was that ever established? I've never heard any stories about him when he was younger. Didn't know that he was a method actor. But I guess he was. No Johnny Depp, but you know. Tommy and Merton leave, and then we get the first look, at Corey Haim as a vampire, and for some reason they have he looks different. He's got makeup, prosthetics on his face, you know. In our universe, prosthetics, but he's supposed to be a vampire creature-looking vampire, and I'm like, wait. And I watching this, I'm like, he's the only vampire we ever see that has the look like that. Even when Corey Feldman shows up in season 3, spoiler alert, he doesn't look like that. He's the only vampire. We see other vampires. Between then, we've seen vampires before, which is funny because we're just like, we're taking down bigger vampires than you, Haim. When? Those 3 greasers? Oh, what vampires? Those vampires were chumps, and you just sent them back. And again, much like before, they could just come back. I think Haim is the most powerful vampire they fought so far. But, I don't know. He's the only vampire I've seen turn like that in the show. Don't ever see one like that again. No. Try to wrap it up a little bit. Merton decides to confront Corey. And so Corey buries him alive in the coffin that they showed earlier. Tommy is already thrown off because he's like, Merton tries to tell him the things, because Merton sees and he was holding a bag of blood, like a donation blood bag that you get at like a blood bank. So one of those, he was drinking out of it, but Merton came in and he's like, oh yeah, it's blood. I donated it myself, I just do it myself, which can't be legal, but And he's like, hey, take that down to the blood bank for me, and which when he would eventually take it to the blood bank, if he hadn't figured it out, he probably would have, because they would have, oh, this is Corey Haim's, but it would say something on the blood bag, wouldn't it? Already, is a name written on it? The label. I don't know, but he doesn't. He says he's allergic to garlic, and Merton sees that he has no reflection. Now, the biggest problem with Corey Haim being a vampire, you think, oh, maybe it's on a set of one of the movies or something. But apparently, later he says he's been searching centuries for a bride like Lori. And that puts a little nip in the problem, a little problem in it, because, as a person watching this, knowing Corey Haim, you've seen him as a little kid. Vampires don't age. And also, vampires don't photograph. Can't be in movies, can't be in pictures. It wouldn't work. You could say, hey, maybe they do retcon it with Corey Feldman, but you could say it was on the set of one of our movies, and they got bit, but you still couldn't. And that's why I haven't done any movies. But I got a special camera that's gonna photograph me. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. And the rules with photographing vampires changed. But if can't be seen in a mirror, then they shouldn't be able to be on camera either. That's one kind of criteria there. But I don't know. So Tommy figures out that Merton's telling the truth because for some reason Corey left the radio, the walkie-talkie, with Merton. So Merton is able to try to contact Tommy. Well, he's trying to contact Corey. Tommy's like, oh yeah, I straightened it out with him, And because he walked in and he's like, Corey, are you okay? Merton got this crazy idea you're a vampire. He's like, oh yeah, I set him straight. Everything's okay. Okay. We got this one scene to shoot in the graveyard, and then we'll be done for the night. But then they get there and there's no cameras or anything anywhere. And this is where he decides he's going to suck her blood and make her a vampire, where it's not sucking blood, it's biting. It's a bite. It's the bite or transferring, making them drink your blood. A vampire's blood. It doesn't. That's the only way. I'm going to drink her blood. Drinking her blood will kill her, not make her a vampire. Then you could drink a little blood, but it's the bite that's going to change her, not drinking her blood. But I'm just saying. Also, we find out Corey Haim was Canadian. I kind of caught it earlier because he said sorry, which is how they say sorry in Canada. So, sorry. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, is he Canadian? I didn't catch it before this episode. But anyway, Laurie starts fighting him, and then Corey. And then Tommy shows up all wolfed out, fighting him. We get hand of fate, hand of fate, hand of fate, but bio. Which is also an episode of Famous Jet Jackson. So it's a fight song and a fight too, when Tommy tries to get Merton to tell him where he is, the radio gets destroyed, and then they eventually find Merton. Didn't need to ask. He's a werewolf. Sniff him out. But they use a broken shovel to stake Corey. Like, there goes my comeback. And I don't know if Corey Haim himself was into prosthetics or if it was an actor. It sounds like his voice pitched down. I don't know. could be. I kind of saw it earlier, but during this fight scene, it looked like it could be a stunt guy. The makeup looked different to me. Excuse me. But they dig up Merton. They think it's too late. And then Merton is like, Corey Haim's not a vampire. Merton is not it. You know, and they shut him in there. And Corey and Tommy and Tommy and Lori are okay now, I guess. She's not mad. He was jealous anymore, I guess. You know, he's a vampire. That you know. And Merton has changed his mind as to who he wants to be the lead of his film he's making, and it's going to be Corey Feldman, which does set up his appearance in season 3. So, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Good episode. Sorry it took a little while for me to get through it. Brain fart. Trying to think stuff. Just watched the episode. I was also making lunch. So, give me a break. But yeah. Until the next one.